Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Soo, your East Oakland advocate. Well, times are getting really tough. Some of you may be locked into a vehicle payment that you're trying to figure out how to get out of. I was in one of those situations back in 2005, and it wasn't because I didn't like the vehicle. In fact, it was my wife's vehicle, and I bought it for her for a birthday gift, and it was her selection. We went out, purchased a brand new. Uh, this was a body change for the Lincoln Navigator back in 2004. It was a complete style change, and there was nothing wrong with the Lincoln Navigator that I had purchased my wife previously that she was currently driving. And it was a special order that I had placed for her without her knowing. It was a gift, and it was equipped with everything that she wanted, even in the color. And so anyway, when the new body style came out, she wanted to get one of the new ones, and it was referred to as the Lincoln Navigator Ultimate at the time. And there were no options on the Ultimate. It was fully loaded. In fact, one of the options we never even used because um, we didn't have children in the back seat, and we didn't have children. We had two dogs, so the DVD player for the back seat never got used. But here's what happened. When we purchased this Lincoln Navigator back in 2004, it was a brand new, first release. In fact, this was uh, one the the very first black, all fully loaded 2004 Lincoln Navigator Ultimate. It had the parchment white interior, fully loaded, everything in there. And we made the purchase. We traded in our 2002 Lincoln Navigator that I had given my wife for a gift, and we were about to take possession of this new one. And the new one, she was really excited about it. It was incredible, and the first one in the Bay Area, because this one had to be brought up from Los Angeles. It was delivered to a Los Angeles dealer, and uh, the Lincoln dealer that I was seeing at the time was in Hayward, and they were my regular Lincoln dealer at the time. But anyway, we got the vehicle. We purchased it, went through everything. Wife loved it, and it's at nighttime now. And the first thing, now we're ready to go home. And it's after 9 o'clock, and we jump in the vehicle, and lo and behold, the headlights won't start up. And this is a first generation of the new HID headlight, high intensity discharge HID headlights, and it takes a certain voltage to fire the headlight to ignite and to light up. And for when we were trying to leave, the headlights wouldn't come on. Yeah. So that was the first problem. And the dealer and the salesman, they were working hard at making sure that we did not leave that dealership without that vehicle. And in fact, I had said, look, I'm tired. My wife is tired. We want to go home. Give us our 2002. You work on the black one. We'll come back tomorrow and get it. And they, no, 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 no. We can't do that. We can't let you leave with your previous vehicle, which was a bunch of bullshit. But that's what dealers do, and that's why I hate car dealers. But anyway, they finally got the headlights to fire and light up so that we can go home. And I said, I bring this stupid vehicle back in the morning so that you can work on it then. And I did. And I'm very upset about this because I'm having to drop off a vehicle and arrange a ride with one of my workers to come pick me up at the dealership. And so anyway, that happened. And make a long story short, this vehicle was a lemon. It was nothing but problems for 9 months consistently. and it spent more time going to the Lincoln dealer in Hayward than traveling anywhere and enjoying the vehicle. And this was a $90,000 SUV. $90,000. So 9 months later, after all the problems, let me go through some of the problems that we had. Not only did we have problems with the HID headlight system, and we tried to rectify it with Detroit. I even called Lincoln headquarters in Dearborn, Michigan, and tried to arrange that. And they did contact the Lincoln dealer, and what they ended up doing from the factory was replacing all the components of the headlight system. They replaced the headlights, they replaced the wiring for the headlights, and they replaced the HID controller. And so um, that didn't resolve the problem. It still but it wasn't an everyday thing. It was an occasional problem, and so we thought it was fixed, but within less than 2 weeks, the problem came back, because this was now kind of like this time of the year where it gets dark early, and so my wife has the headlights on so that she can drive home from Emeryville. So anyway, headlights was a problem. Then the vehicle developed a transmission problem, and this was the part that really nailed the California lemon law on this, because it was so intermittent. And here's what it did: at a stoplight, if you were waiting at a stoplight, you remove the light turns green, you remove your foot from the brake, you step on the gas, engine revs up, but the car goes nowhere. And then all of a sudden, the torque converter kicks in, locks up, and bang! I mean, it just snapped your neck back and lurched the vehicle forward. And so that was a very dangerous situation. And for the next 8 months, eight months, that Lincoln went back to the dealership in Hayward. And also we tried, the Lincoln manufacturer also recommended that we go out to Concord, because what ended up happening, that Mission Hayward Lincoln dealer ended up going bankrupt and folding up. And so they closed up. And so now Concord, we had to drive 3 times farther, or 2 times farther now, to service our vehicle, from Hayward to now Concord. And that wasn't the only issue that we had. While the transmission was having problems, and we couldn't tow with the vehicle. We could not tow a trailer with that Lincoln. And that's how bad it was. And they wouldn't replace the transmission. I said, how difficult is it to replace the transmission? Make it really simple, because there's obviously a problem with the transmission and torque converter. Replace it. And they wouldn't do it. It finally took me calling Dearborn, Michigan again, and raising holy hell with the customer no service people at Lincoln. And they contacted the Lincoln dealer and told them to take our vehicle, and they would ship out a complete replacement package for the front end of our Lincoln Navigator, because it had developed a steering issue. In fact, the steering wheel, when you tried to make a right turn on occasions, the steering wheel would not turn. It wouldn't turn. So there were some substantial issues with that. And so we had a failure of the steering system. And so what Lincoln did, they replaced all the front end. And we lost our car, our Lincoln Navigator, our $90,000 Lincoln Navigator was in the shop for the next month and a half. They gave us a loaner, but the problem was that it wasn't a loaner of equal type, like what we were promised from Lincoln itself, because we drove the top of the line Lincoln Navigator. We should have been issued a Lincoln Navigator as our loaner. That's in the contract, and they violated that contract, and they gave my wife Lincoln LS. It's a it was the car. It was a car, four-door car at the time. It was equal to the Lincoln, or not Lincoln, Ford Thunderbird at the time, because they were built on the same platform, same engine, everything except for the body. So my wife ended up driving Lincoln LS for the next month and a half, substantially subpar to our Lincoln Navigator, and I bitched about that, and so anyway, what ended up happening? We got tired of trying to fix this defective vehicle for 9 months. I mean, 9 months we tolerated this, and we had financed it. Typically, what I do is finance for 2 years, 24 months, and the reason why I do that, I usually try and make sure that the loan is for no more than the warranty period. And then that forces the car dealer and also the manufacturer to fix the vehicle in a timely fashion. So anyway, what I ended up doing, my wife and I decided, okay, we're going to get rid of this lemon. This was a mistake purchasing this vehicle. We're just going to dump it back onto the market. And so at the same time, 2005, there was fuel pricing issues, meaning at the time, gas was hovering just short of $5 a gallon for regular unleaded. And this vehicle has used premium unleaded, so we're paying over $5 a gallon at the time. So my wife is becoming very disenchanted with this vehicle. And so I started researching. I actually her and I went to a few dealerships to look at other vehicles. And this is when we had the eye opener. This is what's going on right now, because there are so many, gas is so high. Big SUVs and a lot of cars, expensive cars, are being dumped on the market and being repossessed because people are not making their payments. They're just saying, well, I'd much rather just give up the vehicle and get rid of it and take the ding on my credit. And that wasn't an option for us. My wife and I, we had the highest credit rating at the time. We didn't carry much debt. But we needed to get out of this vehicle, and the vehicle itself was a lemon. And so here's what I did. We couldn't get a good trade-in for the vehicle. In fact, for owning the vehicle 9 months, and no, everybody at the time in 2005 was dumping SUVs onto the market because they're the gas guzzlers. I mean, they get horrible mileage. In fact, our Lincoln, when my wife drove it, barely got 10 miles to a gallon. When I drove it, I got 15 to 16, but ex-wife, she was kind of heavy on the gas. But we got less. I mean, we got less than 50% of what we owed on the vehicle for the 2-year loan. In fact, that $90,000 vehicle, what I got for a trade-in value was absolutely ridiculous, because here's the number that they gave me: $23,000 for a $90,000 vehicle that's only 9 months old. Yeah, that's how bad it was. And we couldn't get out of it because I couldn't take a loss like that. That means that I would have to pay nearly $50,000 just to get out of that vehicle that we paid $90,000 for, but the Wholesale value said it was only worth 23 because there was such a flood of SUVs and trucks coming back onto the market. So that wasn't an option. I wasn't ready to lose more than 50% of my money for not even owning the stupid thing a year. I looked up the California lemon law because I knew that we had some qualifications there. So here's some of the qualifications. If to be declared and to also file a California lemon law, the qualifications: number one, vehicle has a defect that substantially impairs its use, value, or safety. We had that clearly on the Lincoln because number one, the HID didn't work from day one. They replaced it, and we still had continued problems. Number two, the transmission had a stalling problem and jerks and couldn't tow a trailer. And they made many attempts to uh, find the problem, but and we even left the vehicle. We let them keep the vehicle for a week. Let the mechanic drive it home. We said, let the mechanic drive it home and drive it to work for a week. We were very generous. We wanted the problem fixed. So anyway, qualification number two. Manufacturer or dealership has attempted to repair a minimum of 2 times with no success. We got it. HID headlight, there was at least 6 attempts. Transmission, there were 4 attempts. And so we were well qualified. Then another number 3 qualification: vehicle has been in shop for 30 or more days for repair. We easily exceeded that. So if you have a vehicle that's going in and out of the shop constantly, that's a red flag. And you can actually qualify for the California lemon law. And I'll get to some specifics here and some changes that have happened recently. And then the final one: the defect is not a result of unauthorized use of the vehicle. That's the final qualifier. So now here's what is covered. And this is what's interesting, because at the time, the California lemon law only applied to new vehicles with warranties from the manufacturer, and this still applies. And so this includes new and used vehicles now here in California. So here's what is included for the California lemon law: all cars, regardless of years right now, except for classics. Well, mostly new cars are covered by the warranty. So let me make that clear. I'm talking about specifically for new cars only, because that's what I usually purchase. This also includes trucks, SUVs, vans, motorcycles, motorhomes, RVs, and scooters are covered by California lemon law. You can also look up the California lemon law on Google. Just California lemon law, just type that in and go over it. And here are the solutions. One of the things, once you file, we actually filed with the state of California, because back then there were no attorneys doing this privately, and now there's actually attorney groups that will represent you. And so that's a good change, and it doesn't cost you anything. That's the best part. This costs you nothing, because the manufacturers of your vehicle will pay for the mediation, the arbitration, and the hearing. They pay for everything. It costs you nothing other than your time. And so the solutions can be as good as a full buyback, less the miles that you put on the odometer. And that's what we did. And so out of a $90,000 vehicle, our cost for that horrible period was $9,000. Everything else, that loan was um, dismissed. It was canceled, the loan, because we had financed that for 2 years, and so Lincoln took that off the books and gave us back the money less $9,000 that we had made for our payments. And so I signed the check to my wife, and she took the check, deposited that, and she went and bought herself another vehicle at the time. And so uh, during the arbitration, because there will be an arbitration hearing that will be arranged, typically anywhere from 60 days up to 90 days after you make your request for the California lemon law filing of your vehicle. And so we met downtown Oakland with the arbitrator, went through all the details, be sure to bring all your paperwork. I mean, all your paperwork associated with the vehicle, your payments, your insurance costs, your fuel costs, everything. We maintained a file for this vehicle. In fact, I maintained a file for each one of my vehicles, including my boats. And so all the receipts go into those files to show everything that has been done to the vehicle. And we presented that to the arbitrator. And then after both sides presented their positions, Lincoln sent a representative, a lawyer from their headquarters to represent Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, and she did a good job. Just that the prevalent problems. We broke for lunch, and during that lunch break, the arbitrator, the judge, asked my wife and I to take him for a ride to see if we can make the Navigator do what we were claiming, which was at that time we were complaining about the stall. And then also the HID headlights were intermittent. So at lunchtime, the judge and I and my wife, we all went out to the vehicle. He looked at the vehicle and he said, "Oh, this is a really nice vehicle." And he got in, we started driving. And I tell you what, we didn't get half a mile before that stall showed up. And when it did, the judge in the back seat said, "Is that what you're talking about?" Because he heard the engine rev up and the vehicle didn't move. And then all of a sudden, his head snapped back. He said, "You won the case, and just head back. Don't you won." Uh, and so that was pretty much everything there. When we got back to the office, he explained to the Ford lawyer what he experienced on the drive, and that he was settling the case in our behalf, and that Ford would be required to take back the Lincoln, pay us back in full, less any mileage that was on the odometer. Fortunately, we didn't have 10,000 miles on there, because most of the miles was just going to the shop mostly, and that wasn't when it wasn't having to be towed on a flatbed. But anyway, this could possibly save you tens of thousands of dollars if you're looking to get out of a very high priced vehicle and you've had some issues with it where reliability has truly been a problem, or quality control. You having issues like I did with this Lincoln Navigator. It was just one thing after another. And so we were able to get out of that without taking a big loss financially. Because the loss would have been over $50,000 to me. I couldn't accept that. Even with money, I could not accept that. And instead, we ended up only losing $9,000 for the miserable time that we had with that Lincoln Navigator. And so this is an option for you to really look at and explore. Is it possible that you can get out of a vehicle that you no longer want, that you can no longer afford, that's just a real pain to keep? This could be your way out. And this could get you out of a bad loan that you may be in and struggling to make payments on. So research, research, folks. This is an option that could get you out of a vehicle that is giving you nothing but problems. Because I had that. I know that I wasn't the only one. And now with lawyer groups out there, there's obviously a very big quality control issue with vehicles of all types, regardless of the manufacturer. Thank you for joining me. Good luck in getting rid of your vehicle.